We have these rules, right? So fab rule you follow in transactions. But we have another rules, right? Which one? We have a list rule and query rule. So query rule, you can return things that you value pair. So if I pass employee ID, I can design a rule such that it should return me name, list, project, role, description, everything. Or you can pass your employee ID and name should it should return you things. So you can design your rules, the query rules, or you can design a list rule. If you want to display many rows, the table format, you need to design a list rule. You just pass employee ID or you don't pass employee ID, it should display on the content in the table. If you want to filter this out, you can give parameter as a name. So if name is matching, return those rows. So we can have an employee like multiple replies to the same name, right? So those rules we will see. So again, fab rule and query rule, the implementation is almost same.
So just create an update as well. We can table and then we have a row, we can update it for us.
They do it through fab rule. Fab rule is the custom rule. Fab rule is the custom rule. It's a rule to interact with your POs transactions. Instead of that, it's not just that is one example. Like use this, use this, but general actual file operation is possible. You create a fabric. So whatever you do is in query rule also can be done using fab. Query is just for display. It's just function. Listen, you can do it. Segregate.
They're maintaining the logs also in the database, like support any updates. Right? So we have say any log table, then you store that log tables.
We have two kinds of logging yesterday of the code. One is application and one is database.
Here we understood. So database I want to see.
The database logs we store in
here one.
Oracle logs like who is setting up Oracle, I think there will be some Oracle logs as well. But you can find where the Oracle server is there. You will install.
Are you getting this? Like, is that confusing for you, or do I need to? Oh, okay, okay. Let me. Let me open this one and watch it from here, part one, so it will be easier for you to understand. So speed, this is little bit only increased, it like 1.2.
Or even you can move the
Okay. Can you see now?
All you have a PO and transaction store here in first layer, and rules is server rule, query rule, and list rule.
Is it clear?
Speak bit louder. Okay, clear. Stored here, and T works is related to 300 works. So just remember, when we build our project, we have to deploy our DLLs here in T works location. These were commands to start and stop services, config files, and these rules we already saw. These are API2 format. Then yesterday we created one PO and corresponding transactions. So this is the sys-ID we use, and in the sys-ID, the first part is your class ID. So every module will have a certain class IDs that we have to use it. Then we created one transaction yesterday. So in transaction, we have this main function do it. When you call do it, all the internal things like creating a database transactions, all your validations, and inserting whatever the objects are modified. Everything is taken care of by the switch function. The user don't have to worry. And when the transaction is executed, we have to store its result, success or failure. And we have this class set to where we check the status if it is not direct, we will return a message. Otherwise, there is the code, that is the error message we need to return to the user. When we create transactions, now these transactions we can use API develop. We can't directly execute those transactions here, and for that we need just rules. Set rule we will call these transactions. So that by using API tester, we can test the rules on these transactions. And then we had a tool. We used to there were two messages. One is pulsar and Tico. Now Tico is replaced. For Tico, we had a tool. There we can doing directly testing with these transactions. But here we can't test transactions. We have to build the tools. In that tool, we call just for transactions. So what we will do today we will create a rule and we will call the transaction. Then we will deploy the server. We will again start the server so that the new rule will be registered there and we can use it. Okay, to create a rule, we have a class. We use this EW class. So they have built a wrapper. Using this, we can create a class. This class is used by other modules. So we have kept this class source code in another repository. It is not part of this lab MES. So we have to use their TLS or libraries and header files. So this class will provide you several members, several functions are there. So, so this is a typical rule structure where you pass your input parameters in the form of key value pair. So if you see, this is one rule, lab job rule, and these are the input parameters. User ID, this is equipment ID, tracking unit. These are the inputs. So when you are creating a rule, first you need to know what are the input parameters that you need to store in some variables. So we have a function called pass parameter. So there we will pass, we will fetch. So user, whoever is developing this rule, he should know what are the input parameters. Those will be given when they call this transaction. So you need to use the exact name like user ID. So get value stored for the user ID, get value for the equipment ID. So once we pass all the parameters, we will store in some variables. If you want to do some validation, you can call this function pre-validation. You can verify equipment should exist in the system, or this is initial validation. Like if you're calling a rule, there are some mandatory parameters user has to pass it that you can verify here. This is pre-validation. This is some extra validation if you want. If you don't have any extra validation, you can skip these things. You need not to override that function. Then it will call this process function. Here process whatever things you want to do. You want to fetch something, or you want to insert any rows. You can call a transaction. Can be a 300 word transaction or a factory word transaction. Those things you do in here. After processing, if you want anything, you can use this function. Then again, this rule has to reply to the original client. So for that, you can prepare a reply like this, whether the rule is passed or failed. We saw that rule reply, it comes as a pass or cancel rule. Then if certain parameters, if you want to pass back to the user, you should pass it here. So this is the process how you will create a rule.
No, it's going on.
So you must inherit our base class EW rule. So you can override its base functions, and you, based on your requirement, you can do it. And you should have this constructor there. This constructor is mandatory. Then you can use those functions like pass parameter. These are two compulsory functions, like virtual functions. You have.
I mean, these are all understandable, like the fab rule, what he. Okay, okay. Okay, okay. You want me to keep this or shall I forward this one if you want to hear it? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, I made a small little bit headings in the notepad. So which video contains which topic. So maybe if you need later whatever needed, we can open that video. Also, yeah, I will also try to enter into the notes, like writing in the notes regarding the topics. Yeah, that makes you easier also maybe. Or else I'll do this. Mm. Okay, okay, okay. Mm-hmm. Oh. Mm. Oh. So I need to do the documentation as well regarding this. Okay. Also, they asked me to do the documentation also. I forgot to mention that regarding the tickets, whatever I am raising and what are all the videos, the KT sessions I am watching, they asked me to the documentation also. So while watching these videos only, it's better to, yeah, do the documentation like, okay, okay, okay. Okay. For the documentation, we do not need to see everything like fast forwarding. We can keep it like and take the screenshots and we can keep in the documentation. Uh-huh. What about Note Plus? OneNote. OneNote. Type and pictures and the typing also. Both we can do that, right? So okay. So yeah, s- in the weekends I need to sit for that one to make that to by keeping this video faster and little bit forwarding. There are little bit discussions in the videos also. There is more time also consuming for that. So then I will make the screenshots and just I will attach the content with the thing what are all the topics related to there. So that makes easier also for you maybe.
To overwrite it. Then there is one most important function as EW register rule. So whenever you create a rule class, you should have a rule name. So you should register your rule here using this function. You need to provide your rule name. So in this case, this is the rule name, and it is associated to a one rule class. So that rule class you need to pass here and your rule name. So when you start the server, it uses this function like which rules are there. So it will load your new rule, and when you call it, you test it, that time it will reply you. If you don't register, it will give you error that rule is not found.
Do we have some mechanism to find out what under the rules are being registered, which can be usable?
earlier we were able to find. Now what it will do when you start the server, it logs there. So in log you can find out what rules it has loaded actually. So all the rules it will load. The log file is very big, so what you can do, you can search your rule name there. If it is there, it means it is loaded. And this is the order. So this is the base class. In base class, we have a do it function. So when you invoke a rule, it calls this do it function, and internally this this is the sequence. In that sequence, it calls these functions. So you need not to worry. So you can implement whatever functions you need. Usually what we do, we use this pass parameter. We pass all the parameters. We do some pre-validation, validation not needed, pre-process it's not needed. In process, we usually call transactions. After processing, it's not needed, and then rule apply.
Whatever logic we are going to write inside those parameters only, we
Usually we write it in a process function.
okay.
So here, first step fails, right? It should come out. Why it's going for the next step? Pass parameter fails with an error. We have to come out, right?
You can return it from there. Yeah. So what it does, like every function should return error, and when it is calling another function, like if it is an error, it should return. It should not call. Yeah. So this is one sample rule I created for training purpose. So what we'll do, let me go to the code once. We'll see how this rule is written. Okay, so under project, we have individual projects. So one we use for rule. This is library, list rule, first click. So under first we created our PO and transactions. So this is our PO class. So if you want to use this PO, this table, you can use this class name. For transaction, we created this. So this class name, we have to use it. We can create object of this class and use it. Then to create a fab rule, we have this rule directory. So there I have a rule. So we have a one common file lib, this one. This is a list rule. We have rule. This is the correct one. So this is a new rule class I created. So first thing you need to create a class. So this is my rule class. It should inherit our base class, which is EW rule. Then you can override what functions you want. This is just a declaration. And you need to create a structure. So what parameters you want to store it. So suppose when user calls this rule, they will pass these input parameters. Lot ID, employee ID, name, rules, description. So we need to create a structure. It is like input parameter. You can name anything. This is input. So we need, when we are passing these input parameters, these are the internal variables where we can store all our input parameters. So inside pass function, we will store corresponding values. So its definition is in the CPP file. So when you are creating a new rule, there are some documentation you have to do with it. So you need to write your rule name, what it does, preparation, like how the flow, you can describe in your own way. And what are the input parameters, output parameters, and how when user is calling it, the rule, how they will call it, and usually we give a reply also how the rule will reply. So when if any other person sees it, they will understand what are the input output parameters. Because these parameters we don't store anywhere. It is either someone has to go write the code
No, nothing. Sorry.
Like we don't have any documentation for rules. Someone has to go and see what rules they have. What input or output parameters they need to pass. So these are the default constructors. Then this is the pass parameter. So I will show you. So this is we created yesterday.
We don't need to manually trigger, like internally. It's a rule for this condition. I don't need to attach this in C++ somewhere, right?
Which validation?
This pre-validation.
Yeah, that is Oracle SQL Developer, it seems. Yes, today I already installed that DB also. Yeah, this is Oracle SQL Developer only. Today I got that clear clarification regarding this one.
Post-validation, preparation, those things are you showed us on APIs.
Those are just a wrapper function actually. So you have to write the code inside what you want to validate.
That is okay, but the call will be happening from the
Call is happening automatically. Okay. It is automatic. So we have that base class that takes care of it. So yesterday we created a PO. Let it load.
One more question is like yesterday we saw three things: query list, and rules. Query is to just get some data. Query list is to get some list of data, and rule is to do transactions and just get the results as well.
Correct. So now we are creating this rule that we call fab rule. So inside this we will call transactions. If you want to create insert a data, we will do transactions.
yearly checkups to करता करी पहिल्यांदा केल्या वेळेस किती रुपये का फी मध्ये गेली काय करावं लागतं त्याला
Nitin, you are on unmute.
Oh, sorry.
Yesterday we created a PO. This is our PO. Inside we have employee ID, name, roles, description. So then we want to add a new user, call that rule. And you remember in transaction we have an action. What action you do? We will pass create. So actually to pass these input parameters, employee ID, name, role, description. Last update we will internally take care like whatever is current time it will insert. So these parameters user is passing to pass it. Okay, lot ID is not needed. Just we can remove it.
So updated time will be a private variable which will be accessed only by the C++ file.
Yeah. Then there are some mandatory parameters. TID, this is transaction ID. We use it internally to know like which client is the call is from the which client. So it has to respond to that. So in our case, the API tester is there, so it passes those certain parameters internally. So the server replies back to the client.
The API tester generates the transaction ID every time when a call is good.
So whenever you are calling a transaction, we need this TID.
So from here we are able to debug the program.
We can. Earlier we had the desktop version of IUI. There we made it this TID as a mandatory parameters. So every transaction should pass this TID. Otherwise it was failing. For web, I'm not sure this is mandatory or not. But this was the mandatory parameter. Then you pass employee ID, name, roles you store in the structure. If you want to validate certain things, we are already validating inside transactions. If before it is calling transaction, you want to validate that. Yeah. So this is for performance. It can validate before it goes to the transaction, then it goes to the database. Then there it fails, you can verify here.
What kind of validation is done in pre-validating?
It's up to you. Those are just wrapper function, no logic inside. Yeah.
If
So,
it's
so we made like a template. So whoever is developing that rule, they have to follow the template.
So if you see in this method, we have like a couple of validations added, right? So if you want to make it modular, we will split it into.
You can create
validate.
multiple functions, yeah, based on the functionality you can do it. So this validation, when you call do it, you call validation, the pass parameter plus validation, you need not to call explicitly. Then this is the process here, you do actual work. So, so what here, what you can call directly your transactions. So in transaction, so we created a transaction for our PO. So just create object of the PO. This is the GC ref smart pointer we were talking about. So when you create a object using the new keyword, always we have to delete it. If you don't delete it, you can assign to the garbage collector. This will take care. Otherwise, it will have memory leak issue. And then these are, we already created these variables inside. Just assign to this. Then you call do it transaction. So we have a transaction class. You can directly call do it transaction. It will initiate the transaction. We store into FW result. Just check if everything, if it is failing, this is the cancel rule. You see rule apply, it comes cancel rule or pass. So by default, it is pass. If something fails, we need to always override this rule apply, cancel. And it has the reason code. In rule apply, we always see reason code. So reason code, whatever error is there, that reason code we have to put. Then this is the rule reply. Once everything is done, just reply back. So whatever parameter you assign, you put it here, you will see in the rule apply message. So again, this is mandatory. We see parameter and parameter value. So we have this parameter and parameter value. These are for input, these are compulsory, and for output. So these are already taken care by wrapper class. So suppose if you want to pass user ID back to the user, to pass it. If any error is there, you can pass it. So if there is no error, it will be empty.
I have two out here. Could you scroll down? Oh, should scroll down.
Reply.
Yeah, you said there is some manage object you created and you assigned to the GC collector.
Yeah,
That's one. So that is a manage object. So you're setting to garbage collector to collect that object, right?
Yeah. So what we did, we created this manage object, and whatever this is our transaction object. So we created this transaction object using new keyword. So this we have to assign it to the garbage collector. So it has a reference what I need to clear it.
Right. So what about the previous object? That's a pointer, right? That is not a manage object. So
yeah, this new whatever object is created, we are storing in this only. So this is this.
That is the one. Okay. Okay.
So
mostly manage object only you are creating. No unmanaged objects are being created here.
C++ is unmanaged. So it is actually in C++ we have smart pointer concept. So it's something if you like, they will delete the memory automatically once they goes out of scope. So this is a smart pointer. So just you need to assign it whatever you want to clear it or delete it.
Okay.
Okay. Then once we created this role, we have to register it. So we have a common file. There are in code there are two